What is good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel for the third day of live streams in a row. So yeah, I didn't actually plan to go live today, but probably looking at the green markets today inspired me to go live once again. So thanks very much for dialing in. Today is just really a casual talk. I want to answer some of the questions I received from some of you over the last few days, through email, Instagram, in the comments. So yeah, just picked a few of those and try my best to answer them. And please feel free, if you're watching this live, pop some in the question. If at the end of it we still have some time, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have if I can answer. So yeah, let's dive right in. So the first question I got here, the $1 million question: when are the markets recovering? Well, buy my course for $1,000 and I'm gonna tell you. No, I'm just joking. Obviously, that's the $1 million question that nobody knows. Personally, if I was to predict, I would imagine markets to go down further for the coming months. Possibly even years, depends who you speak to. But I think we're gonna see a lot of sideward movements. We're gonna have job numbers coming out on Friday from the US. They might be good, they might be bad. Accordingly, the numbers will go up and down. Then they're gonna be the Fed once again changing the interest rates, etc. So I think there's going to be a lot of micro movements in the market, but overall I still think we're on the downward trajectory because the overall macroeconomic factors are still quite negative. I mean, we still have the conflict, the war, let's call it, in Ukraine going on. We still have energy supply shortage in Europe, not right now hitting, but come autumn, I think it's going to be a huge factor. We have food shortage potentially coming up, rising inflation across the world. So many factors that I just don't see how we can possibly go into a bull market very soon. But on the other hand, for me, knowing that also makes me less fearful, because before, whenever I saw Bitcoin kind of picking up, I said, oh my God, I missed out, I have to buy to secure the low prices. But now when I see, like today, Bitcoin going up quite a bit, I'm relaxed. I know this is just a sort of, temporary upswing, which is great, which is nice to see, but I know it's gonna drop down further, so I wait my time and continue dollar cost averaging. So personally, I think it's still gonna take a while to recover, so we might as well use this time to accumulate more in our various positions, whatever you're investing in. So I think it can be quite a good time to do so. Right, what else are we having? What are you buying these days? Well, I'm a little bit boring, I must say. I keep on buying mostly right now Bitcoin, because you probably know by now I'm super bullish on the long-term projection. I'm not talking 1 year, not 2 year, but 5 year, 10 year down the line. I can only see this going up tremendously. So that's probably my biggest position that I keep on investing in at the moment. And then I sort of always divide it between putting my more secure funds into ETF. So I buy the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. So I put some funds in there, and then I like to pick 1-2 stocks. So at the moment, I kind of divide it between Apple and Google. So depending on how I feel, but those are the kind of areas where I'm investing. I'm not buying any super aggressive stock. For that, my sort of high risk portfolio is obviously in crypto, so I don't want to go too wild in terms of stock investing. So that's probably what I'm doing at this stage. Next question: what's the best way to dollar cost average? Obviously, we always speak about, and when you hear even the most legendary investors, Warren Buffett, etc., they always talk about dollar cost averaging. But how do you do it the easiest way? So there's different options. Depends on your either stock exchange or your crypto exchange. Depending on where you buy, even your bank may have this option of setting a specific amount that you want to invest, and it really depends on your ability to invest. If you're just starting out, you might be able to invest 100, 500,000, whatever it fits your budget. That's totally fine. So you can set this up in the system, and then basically the bank or your exchange or broker would every month buy at a specific period in time, and you can specify that if you want it monthly, weekly, daily, buy those things. If you're starting off with a small budget, I would suggest you not to buy daily, because obviously every time you do trade, there's going to be a fee. So over time, that fee will add up quite a bit. So what I do myself, I actually prefer doing it manually. Yes, you could say the whole point of dollar cost averaging is not to try to time the market, but I force myself at least twice a month to invest. And then I can say, listen, I mean, normally I would invest on a Monday, but I just, like a day to day, saw that the markets went up by, by 4 or 5%. So probably wouldn't be the best day, so I will wait a couple of days. I will definitely buy in that month, but maybe not on the sort of peak day when it just peaked because some news that came out. So it's really up to you. You can do the set it and forget it. Make sure your broker or exchange allows it. And if you want to do a more manual approach, and I really like investing, so I can kind of follow the few positions that I hold and then manually make sure I invest it, and then of course also track it, because a lot of people, they don't track their investments. So I use various tools to make sure I can actually analyze my performance over time. Right, next up, the question is buying crypto on Revolut. So I guess the question is also, can I buy crypto on Robinhood, right? So my simple answer is try to avoid as much as possible, because a lot of those sort of neo banks, as they're called, and they don't actually allow you to move the crypto away around to another exchange one day. Because the beauty of cryptocurrency, that you have your wallet, either you have it in your hardware wallet, in a Trezor or Ledger wallet, what have you, or in an online exchange, and you can, with the click of a button, move it to any exchange, to another wallet. And that's the beauty of it. That's much more difficult with stocks. So being locked up in an app like Revolut or Robinhood, they don't actually allow you to do that. So you would need to sell and liquidate your holdings and then pay the tax accordingly. So let's say you made a gain of $1,000 on your crypto, you would have to pay that income capital gains tax on that gain, and that wouldn't be the smartest way. So really make sure that your exchange or broker or bank allows you to transfer to another wallet. So I would strongly against buying on Revolut. What is the best crypto card out there? Well, if you asked me that question a few months ago, it would have been a very simple answer. That was the Crypto.com Visa debit card. That was by far my favorite card. Crypto.com was growing. They were doing extremely well. They spent so much money on marketing. You've seen them on any sporting events around the world. And they really had huge benefits. I mean, they paid for my Netflix, my Spotify, airport lounge access. I got staking rewards, cashback. I got 3% cashback on my card at a time. Amazing, absolutely loved it. However, the only issue here is that sadly they changed the program quite a bit. A couple of weeks ago they slashed a lot of the benefits, and now we can really see that they definitely we feel it. I mean, for me it's not attractive anymore. Plus the fact that I needed to lock up a lot of my crypto in order to get those benefits. So I was in a spot where I said I don't feel comfortable anymore. I need to invest into their local their token, which is the Kronos coin, but I wasn't sure where it's going anymore, because the only value it provided is when more people came on board. But once people got upset and people started leaving, I only see the value of the Kronos coin dropping. So I don't want to be tied into an ecosystem that in my eyes was going a downward hill. Now I still have the card and I still get airport lounge access, which is amazing, even though I don't have any Kronos coin anymore. So once you reach I think the 3rd level it is, I have the Royal Indigo or above, you can still keep that card to use airport lounge access, which is fantastic. So I'm gonna make sure to keep that. But then I looked around and what else is out there, and there's starting to be more and more of different exchanges offering cards. There's Coinbase offering 4%, which sounds great, but in reality it's actually not that great, because there's a lot of caveats to it and restrictions, and every time you make a transaction you're gonna be charged a fee on it. So actually it's not really 4% that you're getting. So, and a lot of limits, daily spending limits, etc. Then there is FTX card, but technically you don't get any benefits. You can just spend the card and reduce your crypto against it. So I don't want to sell my crypto, I want to use my fiat to gain crypto in return. So then a lot of people jumped to Pluto's card, which came sort of out of nowhere, it felt like it, and everybody moved to Pluto's. I'm gonna sign up to them. I definitely would like to try, because it sounds really good. I mean, like up to 8% cashback and a lot of benefits and perks you can choose. Though so far it seems that they were so overrun with all the interest into the card from people coming from Crypto.com that they're struggling big time. There's a backlog. They said the card will come in like 8 weeks or 9 weeks, and they haven't still replied to my support ticket, which I sent like a couple of days ago. So Yeah, not sure so far. It's a slow start, but I heard good things about it, so I'll definitely check it out and we'll make a video on it very soon. So right now I am with Nexo card and I absolutely love it. I get 2% cashback in Nexo on every transaction. I can use my crypto as collateral, so basically it's like taking an interest-free loan. I pay 0% interest on it. I use it with my Curve card, so I get 2% on my Nexo plus 1% cashback on my Curve. So basically I get 3% cashback on every transaction. So I really recommend you to check out Nexo card. It's fantastic. Next up, is it time to buy Tesla? Well, that's a good question. We can jump in, see how it looks, obviously. Right now, when you look for the year, Tesla is down by 35%. So, if you're a long-term bull in Tesla, which I think a lot of people are, it seems like a fairly good deal. I mean, we have now a market cap of, $780 billion. If you remember a few months ago, Apple used to be at 3 trillion. So it has a long way to go. I'm quite positive about Tesla. I think the problem here is though, that there's a lot of uncertainties in terms of the main man, Elon Musk. People say now that he spends so much time looking after Twitter and potentially buying it, and then with all his other endeavors, I mean, I don't know how many other companies he runs. He did say that his main focus will always going to be Tesla, and I think as long as that's the case, it will going to continue to grow, no doubt about it, because it's not just electric car. It's like the whole self-driving, is the potential self-driving taxis. SpaceX technically is still sort of factored in them until they go IPO themselves. So it has so much upside potential that I think it's still quite expensive, but where it used to be compared to what it is now, I think it is quite attractive. And I'm actually considering buying a bit of Tesla because below 1,000, I think it's still quite not bad, because a lot of analysts are saying a couple of years down the line we're definitely going to be looking at $3,000 per stock. So there's a nice upside to be had over there. Are you worried about crypto regulations? Well, that's a good question, but I think there can be regulations about anything. Personally, I think even ETFs may one day be regulated. I mean, there's talks now that companies like Vanguard or BlackRock, I mean, they're getting so huge and powerful with their ETFs. I mean, they basically have a major stake in most companies around the world. So there's going to be regulations as well. So naturally, there's going to be regulations in crypto as well. And in a certain way, I think it may be actually quite positive for it, because the more there's clarity around this topic, the more people feel comfortable. Because a lot of the elderly generation, they're scared. They say, well, it's unregulated, it's like the Wild West, and it's true to a certain extent. So having clear parameters in place and regulation makes it easier and more comfortable to operate within. So I think it's good to a certain extent, until we go to a direction where it's complete outright ban, like we've seen in certain countries. Then of course it goes the wrong way. Now technically we talk in crypto also about DeFi, decentralized finance. So there, to a certain extent, you can't really control because it is decentralized, no real organization controls it. But of course, if certain governments blocking exchanges to allow you to put deposit money or withdraw money, it makes things more difficult. So I'm positively optimistic for the future. It remains to be seen, but I don't think any regulation will vanish Bitcoin, at least going forward. Best place for staking crypto. Again, I mean, there's different options in terms of staking. There's DeFi and CeFi. I personally only do CeFi. I know in terms of DeFi, there's PancakeSwap and Uniswap and all these different platforms where you have, one token, change it for another one. So, that's maybe for the more sophisticated trader. I don't go down that rabbit hole, and I think there are better channels out there that really walk you through this. For myself, all I want to do is have an exchange with the click of a button, put my crypto to work. I want to really simple. I don't want to deep dive into studying which protocol and so on. So for that, I've obviously tried a lot of different exchanges, and actually I will very shortly drop a video on which exchange I like the most. But for me so far, what I've liked the most in terms of staking rewards is probably again Nexo, because there I'm getting the highest rewards. I mean, on my Bitcoin I'm getting 6%, which is really high, and now if I basically 6%, if I earn it in Nexo, I can get up to 8% on my Bitcoin. I mean, that's really unheard of. And I really quite like that platform. But there are other platforms out there as well. Today I saw that FTX for the first $10,000 apparently gives you up to 8% on any cryptocurrency, so that's great. And I think anything over 10,000, then it drops down to 5% without having any locked up coin or so on. So that's really, really good. It used to be also crypto.com before for me, but as I said, they also downward adjusted a lot of their rewards, so for me, much less attractive than they used to be. Best to buy dividend stocks only. Well, again, I really like diversification. Now, personally, I'm a little bit less diversified than maybe some experts are saying, and that's a personal preference, I guess, a risk versus reward. I'm still young, I have a bit more risk tolerance, I say, but if you only go into dividends, I think you really limit yourself in terms of overall appreciation of a stock, because you have to ask yourself, yes, in times like we are today, in the bear market, it's great to have dividend stocks because the stocks are trending sideways or downwards, so you're still going to get a monthly or quarterly dividend. It feels great. But again, mostly like a normal stock, a normal dividend stock would pay you, anywhere from 2 to 4 to 5% normally. Again, that's less than the inflation, right? So technically, that's even not covering the loss of money that you're having in your bank account, so to say. And on the other hand, the higher the dividend is, you need to ask yourself the question, why is the company doing this? Instead of reinvesting the money in a difficult time, we're in the bear market, they should use that money to invest into R&D to get better and be more competitive in the future. They choose to, in some cases I've seen 10% of their profits put it into dividend payments. So it's great as an investor, but long term you're going to see an impact on the stock price. So when it's too good to be true, it often is, and you need to be a little bit careful. I think having some of dividend stocks in the portfolio is definitely great. I had myself, I own BlackRock, I used to have Starbucks, so getting those regular dividend payments feels great. But if you only invest in that, I think you're missing a lot of upside potential, because we're gonna go back to a bull market eventually, and then having those tech stocks and growth stocks, you're gonna have much more growth than you would have with a dividend stock. Should I buy some gold? Well, recently I've done a video about this, and I'm not much of a gold fan, but I get it. I do understand that certain people with maybe a lower risk tolerance, they want to allocate a certain amount of their portfolio in gold. I totally get it, but myself, I won't be buying gold. And it's interesting when you look over the last time I checked, over the last 10 years, it only grew by 15%. So again, obviously it's a store of value. It's not an investment that's going to double in the next few years. I think it has its place in investment, but long term, I think the total market cap of gold will slightly go down, as especially younger people start investing more in Bitcoin. When we say the digital gold, I think over time, it might be 10, 20 years, I don't know, but over time, I think the market cap of Bitcoin will be higher than gold. What's your favorite altcoin? Good question. I'm quite, in a way, conservative, even when you can call investing in Bitcoin conservative, but I'm not really too bullish on altcoins. Now, I know in a bull market, you can have huge upside potential, and we've seen this in 21, 22, beginning of 22, when you could invest in anything and the price would just go up. But so far, I'm staying a little bit reserved, and my main holding is in Bitcoin. I do, though, invest in Polygon because they have amazing staking rewards. I'm getting now, I think, 16% of this on Nexo, which is incredible. And they have also a good, ecosystem around it. So it's not just, the staking rewards that you get paid, but they have a lot of projects that are building around Polygon. So I do see that as a long-term big potential, but I'm not investing a big portion in that. And of course, my second altcoin would be Nexo token, because being part of Nexo platform, the more Nexo you're holding, the more benefits you get. The higher staking rewards, you can get interest-free loans. So it does come with certain perks. And I'm also getting interest paid to me in Nexo. And one day I may decide to convert it, same as I did with crypto.com when I had Kronos token. I had close to 15K in Kronos. And overnight when I saw the news, I quickly converted that into Bitcoin and then moved my Bitcoin into another exchange. So that might be the same with Nexo over there. So right now, these are my two main holdings there. I see a couple of questions, guys. I'll get to you in a second. I think I have 2-3 questions left, and I'll answer the questions in the chat. But thanks very much, and please do keep them coming. Is Netflix done? A very good question. When we see Netflix, let's pull it up over here. It does look pretty miserable, actually. But again, that might be a great buying opportunity. because yeah, I mean they came from the all-time high obviously during the pandemic when everybody was at home watching Netflix. When we see for the year to date, I mean they dropped by 67%, which is absolutely massive. And who knows, it may not stop there. We've seen them losing, I think, 200,000 subscribers in the US over the last few months. So definitely they're having a big issues ahead. Then again, if long term they turn around, they find more original productions, they get more Squid Game projects and films on board, there might be an upside. I think right now is probably a good entry point. Personally, I'm not going to invest in this. I just like more companies that do more than just sort of one direction, even though they have been venturing into games, etc. They're now even playing with a sort of free subscription model, like Spotify, for example, where you see ads on the Netflix. So I'm not sure how well that would go with the nice watching a blockbuster and then you see the ads in between. But it remains to be seen. Personally, I'm not going to buy it, but I think if somebody likes the company, I think that could be quite an attractive price point right now. Favorite finance YouTuber? Well, I mean, there's so many YouTubers there on finance, on YouTube, obviously, and the finance niche. A couple of years ago, there used to be hardly any. There was pretty much Graham Stephan, and that was it. But now there's so many others out there. Andre Jig, I like very much. I love Millennial Money, which is actually a weekly show where a couple of those guys come together and they just have a free talk. And really, I enjoyed it so much. It's like hanging out with your friends talking about finance, because how many people in your direct friendship maybe that you can talk about finance or crypto. Not everyone invests, so I really love having this dialogue and even just watching them. And my wish is to one day actually meet them. I'm planning to go to one of the conference. I was actually thinking this year to go to Miami to the Bitcoin conference. Maybe next year, we'll see, but it would be really cool. There's other people as well, like Brian Young for crypto, investing answers. I really like James doing a great job. So a lot of people out there, and I like such a positive sort of environment. People are really supportive of each other, and I really love these guys, and they really inspire me to also get better as an investor and produce more content and share it with you guys. So yeah, really inspiration for me on a daily basis. What are your hobbies? Well, apart from investing and YouTube, I guess, I really love sports. So I try to exercise every morning before I go to work. I wake up at 6 and then hit the gym or go for a run outside. So that just helps to stay, focused in my head, obviously. And then I like wakeboarding in summer and snowboarding in winter. And every other weekend when there's Formula 1, I love watching Formula 1. And best of all of them have crypto exchanges around them. So that somehow goes hand in hand. And yeah, just love the sport, and hopefully we'll be able to attend one of the races in the future. Advice for new investors? Well, I guess the same old adage is true 100 years ago, the same is true today. If you don't know anything about investing, really start with the market index. Personally, I recommend S&P 500. That's the safest bet, a bet on America. I mean, like America or not, but the economy, if American economy collapses, I think globally we have a problem. So if you invest in the 500 largest companies in America, and don't forget, they're not only operating in America, they are global companies, right? Apple, Microsoft, all of them are operating across the globe. So technically, it is already a global index, so to say. And then dollar cost average every single month, religiously, however you can afford, invest it, and over time you're going to be off to the races. I mean, I've shown yesterday in my life, that we've seen bear markets every other year. It happens every so often, but 75% of the time we have a bull market. So don't panic, just continue dollar cost averaging, and over time you're going to be good. Now, as you get more comfortable starting to invest and you start seeing gains, then you can venture out into buying individual stocks if you feel comfortable. If not, that's totally fine. Then you may start investing into crypto. I was so happy. Last weekend, my mom called me and said, Guy, I want to start buying Bitcoin. How do I do it? So, even the elderly generation slowly starts understanding that, there's no way around it, like it or not. But, cryptocurrency is here to stay. Maybe not all coins. I think the majority of the coins actually may disappear, like we're seeing with Terra Luna. But I think some of the big projects like Bitcoin, like Ethereum, they're not going to go anywhere. And so, yeah, that would be my advice there. Right, with this, I think we have a couple of questions here. So thanks very much for those who are still watching. Really, really appreciate it. City Walk Dubai. Are you, I hope you can see the questions over here. Let me see 1 second. I'll try to make it a bit bigger. All right. Are you using Trezor? So no, actually I'm using Ledger, but both are great hardware wallets. I think not one is better than the other. Actually, I hope you can show. I think Trezor, the good thing here is open source. So a lot of people saying in a way the code written on it might be securer because Ledger is a private company, and there might be a potential backdoor into the hardware wallet. There hasn't been yet, but who knows. But yeah, I've been using them for a little while now, and so far I'm very happy. Still, I'll be quite honest, I keep quite a bit, maybe too much of my cryptos on various exchanges, because I just like getting those staking rewards, which is a bit more difficult if you keep it in your hardware wallet. So yeah, for now I keep a majority of it in exchanges to get those daily staking rewards. But great question. Then we have Ilyas, I hope I pronounced it correctly. Would be interesting to see your detailed asset allocation. Great question. I was actually thinking about doing a video on that as well. So thanks for asking. I'll definitely keep that in mind, and I will certainly give an update. And I think that's really important. Also, at the same time, I want to show people how to track, because I know so many people when who are investing and so on. We talk about crypto and etc. And then I ask, so how much percentage you have in this or that. They look at me, well, I don't know, I bought a bit on Coinbase, I bought some on Crypto.com, I don't know, like 10,000 or something. And if you don't really track it, if you don't measure it, you can't manage it. So I think it's very important to also know, where did you make mistakes, where can you improve? So I have a great tool for this, which I'm happy to share. So thanks for the question. I will definitely do one on this very soon. And another question over here, did you see that Plutus finally implemented the curve perk? I did not, I heard about it. So apparently you can choose on Plutus between different perks, and one of them is that you get, I believe they pay for one of the levels, I guess the first level of curve, which is amazing. That's like £10, I believe, per month. So that's really great. I didn't know this. And as I said, I'm still waiting for support to get back to me to finally approve my KYC and get my card chipped. So it's a little bit tedious process, I must say. Maybe I was a little bit late. It seems they're overrun by inquiries. So hopefully I'll get this sorted sooner than later. And we have Mrin, I hope I pronounced it correctly. Mrin asking, best simple stock app in your opinion? Now, if you never invested before, and again, it depends where you live. If you're US citizens, I would say probably Robinhood. If you live in Europe, I would definitely recommend you Revolut. These are super simple apps to get started. And I use the same for myself, because you want to have as little friction as possible. Because when people are scared, I remember when I was young and was reading about investing a couple of years ago, it was so tedious, so cumbersome to open a bank investing account. You needed approvals, you needed, signatures and all these things. It was so difficult and complicated, to a point where in the end I said, okay, that's not for me. Now, in times where we have really basically app investing, you can create an account in a matter of minutes, get your KYC done, transfer money into it, either with your debit, credit card or bank transfer. Always go for bank transfer, you don't have any fees. And then you buy a stock like this on the go, which is absolutely amazing. Long term, as your portfolio grows, you want to migrate to other apps and brokers, because you want to be again in a position where you can maybe transfer your portfolio one day to another broker if you so wish. They may have better prices in terms of trading. So there are a lot of perks to migrate to a bigger broker. I'm now using interactive brokers, but to get started, I really think Revolut, Robinhood, Free Trade, if you're in the UK, I believe are great options, especially if you have small amounts. The little fees you have is not an issue. You want to get into the habit of starting to invest, so definitely recommend those. Rin, yes, but Revolut doesn't have S&P 500. Oh, yes, you're right. If you want to buy an ETF, sadly, Revolut doesn't offer this at the moment. Well, they have been saying that they're going to add this for quite a while now. It hasn't happened. So if that's your wish, again, depending on where you live, I do believe Trading 212 or even Free Trade in the UK, they may offer this. In other parts of Europe, DeGiro is also not a bad broker actually. And then otherwise, you can check out interactive brokers. They now came out with a more simplified app. I've done a video on this, so if you go on my channel and look for interactive brokers, there's a more sort of user-friendly app out there. So that's actually quite easy, and through that you can buy any ETF, including S&P 500, and they really have the lowest fees, the best exchange rate. So if you're willing to go the extra step, then definitely go for interactive brokers, sort of retail app. So that's really, really good. Good, guys. I mean, I hope I've answered most of the questions. We're now reaching the half-hour mark, so I really appreciate you for dialing in. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please let me know in the comments, or if you didn't also, I mean, it's always something to improve. You know, I'm still new to the whole live streaming thing, but yeah, I plan to do this, at least the Q&A session, once a week. So keep the questions coming and let me know. Really happy to answer them, help you out, and